City of Stevens Point Historic Preservation Design Review Commission meeting, recorded July 13, 2022.
All right, it is July, excuse me, July 13th, 4 o'clock. Call the Design Review Commission to order. Roll call.
Siebert?
Here.
Monk?
Here.
Christensen is excused. McFarland?
Here.
Scripps is excused. Malevsky is excused. And Hornig.
Here.
4 members. We got a quorum.
Okay. Next order of business is the report from June 1st, 2022 meeting. I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I move to accept.
Thank you. A second, please.
I'll second.
Second. Thank you, Eric. Any comments, changes, questions? Nope. Seeing none. All those in favor of accepting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 4, request from Michael Diem for a design review to construct an accessory structure, in the rear of the property located at 1500 Clark. I would entertain a motion to accept the request.
I move to approve subject to the staff recommendation.
Thank you. A second, please.
Second.
Second, thank you, sir. Any questions? Or
Well,
Mr.
actually,
Diem, you want to?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to do something kind of minimalist here. Now, with the as you can see on the, you've got a satellite photo of that of my property, and we're for the size of the house we've actually got, and the backyard is actually fairly big, and actually a lot of people don't actually realize how much green space is back there, but the garage itself, if you look at how close we are to on the two sides, the garage there is pretty small and there's no way to expand it, and it's, actually I think these days you wouldn't even be allowed to build a garage that close. I mean, I think it's a fire hazard for our neighbors to the west of us. However, it's there and it serves its purpose, and we can store one car in there, and but it doesn't leave us much space to store things like the lawnmower and the snowblower. In fact, just today I was climbing over the lawnmower to get get some other things out, still in my spring cleaning mode here in July, and I was climbing over that stuff. But what I'd like to do is have a really simple garden shed tucked away in the back. So on the photo it'd be in the left corner. Yep, yeah, you can see it. It'd be back in the left over there, and I don't want it to be this big knockdown, drag out structure. I want it to be able to just do some basic things in there. I want it to be very neutral. I'm a cheapskate. I don't want to spend a ton of money on it, and I want it to sort of disappear into the foliage in there, but serve its purpose for yard and garden type things, so that my garage, so that if I park in the garage, I'm not actually having to climb over the snowblower in order to get out of the garage in there. And so I'm proposing something pretty basic. I wanted something that was a dark color that would hide in there. I kind of went around and took a look. If you go north of there, it's actually the parking lot for there's an investment house that used to be a single family home there. That's that kind of prairie style stucco one, beautiful one right across from the castle. So there's a parking lot over there, and I've actually kind of looked at it from okay, with my foliage in here, where do I hide it best back in there? And then also my neighbor on the west side, where their garage is, they are not going to get a good view of it either. So I actually wanted to vanish into the background, but be very utilitarian and frugal. That's what I'm proposing.
In the aerial photograph where it says proposed structure location, just to the front of it, is that a tree or is it a shrub?
Oh, yeah, okay, there is, that.
Yeah, you can point if you want.
I go up into there. All right. So, okay. So there's a big catalpa right here. I don't know if you guys can see this. There's a big catalpa tree right in here. There's a big maple in there.
That's the
This,
one I'm talking
right in
about.
here, is actually not trees, it's actually bushes, and the only thing that would have to come down is an already dead pine that, we gave it a shot and planted it 10 years ago.
I was just wondering if that would
It never
more
worked.
hide it.
Yeah, no, there is actually some pretty good foliage in there that would end up hiding it. And here, there's a good maple, really nice maple in here, there's a really nice catalpa in there. But from my neighbor's point of view, because my neighbor's garage is here, mine is here, people can't actually see my backyard from the front. And I've had people who've lived in the neighborhood have come over and said, I never had no idea you had this backyard in back here. I think, well, you can't actually see it from any view in Stevens Point. You actually have to come into the backyard to see that it's there.
I tried seeing it from Main Street earlier today, and you really cannot. There's a good barrier there after that parking lot ends on the north side of you.
And we thought about trying to do some things with the garage and stuff, but we had actually one time thought about tearing it down and moving back in there, but I can't get myself to give up that much of the yard space.
Yeah, just strictly from a zoning standpoint, the only option for adding additional square footage would be to tear down and build a new. You wouldn't be able to add on to the existing garage just given the proximity to the house and the proximity to the lot line, so.
Anything else for the gentleman?
Have you been able to closely match the materials you want to use with the exterior of your home?
If I stay frugal, because the siding on my house, now my house actually has that big lap aluminum siding that, I don't know what decade it was, very popular in Stevens Point, but some salesperson made a fortune selling this aluminum in there. And now we have that, but it's painted, we've painted it since then, so it has a custom color. So with the stock colors, I can't get a good match on there. I would probably have to just paint it. I'd have to just paint it before I go up, and that was why I went with a dark color that would match the roof of the house, and match some of the other parts of the trim, and also just kind of be dark and unobtrusive is why I had gone with the dark color. Because that same style, you can get it in this dark gray, and I actually looked at the dark gray next to this what my siding is painted. It actually clashed. It looked like it was trying to almost be that, and then it didn't quite match. And then they had ones that were white, and I was like, okay, now that's going to just jump out, and you're going to see it. You're going to see it through the foliage.
Sure.
You think this is going to be sufficiently big enough for? what you-
Yeah, as I measured out, and I said, okay, it's not going to be. I'm not going to put a boat in there. It's going to be for things like the snow blowing and the lawnmower. That's it.
Okay.
Some garden tools, and so part of this is that I'm a classical gas in that whatever space you give me, I will expand to fit whatever that volume is in there. So I actually know myself well enough to put some volume control on that and not make it too big, because that will just encourage me to accumulate more stuff that I don't need.
Sure.
You put this on a slab or just on the ground?
What I was thinking of doing was building it onto I was going to build a little deck. So I wanted to be raised a little bit, stay dry. Because if I was going to do a slab, I would have to mix the concrete myself, or we would have to, or have somebody pay someone to do it, because it is be really hard to get. There's nowhere for a truck to get in there, and so what I was thinking instead was, I looked at some designs, and so just build a little 4x6 deck, have it raised a little bit above grade so it stays nice and dry, but has good footing so it doesn't, when we do have the tornado conditions, and that's when sheds start flying away, that it's securely down in place.
And that's one of the requirements through a zoning review, is that any prefabricated sheds like this that it's properly anchored either to the ground or to a concrete slab.
Anything else? Mr. Beal? Okay. Seeing nothing else, we can take a vote. All, excuse me. All those in favor of Mr. McFarland's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passed unanimous. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. All right, now I just want to make sure, Adam, because of the size, I don't need a permit, right?
Correct, don't need a permit, and I'll send you tomorrow I'll send you a design review certificate effectively saying you received the approval. And we'll be in touch then with.
And then, so that you guys can drive around and say, can we actually see it? All right, well, I thank you so much.
Sure, thanks, take care.
All right, you guys have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you. Number 5, a request from Nick Bouza, he's not here, representing 13 Investments LLC for a demolition review to raise the principal and accessory structure on the property located at 1035 Union, which the members of the board saw earlier today. I would accept a motion then to, or entertain a motion, excuse me, to agree to this proposal. Seeing none,
Or you could,
table it.
I mean, if there, you could entertain a motion to deny as well, if there is a motion and a second.
Okay?
And regardless, I mean, this is just procedurally for discussion. You could choose to, say, take on a motion to accept, even though you don't necessarily feel to vote that way. It's more so just to kickstart the conversation, kickstart the discussion.
Okay, so we just have a motion to.
Just a
address
motion
this
to accept second, and then, so that we can kickstart.
Okay.
discussion.
Okay,
So you,
yes, I motion.
okay. A second, please, if any.
A second.
Okay, Mr. Monk, thank you. All right, so, discussion, since Mr. Bouza isn't here.
Well, I think it's pretty apparent that he owns that building next door, and to him, the value of additional parking for employees and expanding his business far outweigh the $65,000 he spent on purchasing that property. That's my anticipation of what he wants to do. In my opinion, it's looking a little dilapidated. A lot of industry and commercial properties on that block already, with a nice separation where the northern half of the block starts. I don't see there any reason why we shouldn't allow raising of this structure so he can continue his business there and help clean up that corner of the block.
Well, clearly the place needs some cleaning up.
Yes.
The yard is a mess, and there's all sorts of garbage laying around the outside of the building. But it seems to me we have a historic district. We've already lost 2 rather significant buildings in the district. This would be the 3rd. And why have a historic district if we're just going to tear everything down and build parking lots? It just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. So I would suggest we deny it.
Do we have any other evidence of how much fire damage there is on the second story?
Specific cost estimates, no.
When was the fire?
Specific year was not given, just through conversations, it was within the last couple of years.
And how long has the current owner owned the property?
The previous owner, or the ownership transaction happened a couple weeks ago, about a month ago. Prior to that, the then owner occupied the space for about 20, 30 years. It's essentially been in the same family trust for about 50 plus years. Previous owner occupied the space. Before her, it was her sister, I believe, who took ownership of the property.
And then the current condition of the building is pretty much due to the lack of maintenance by the prior owner.
As far as exterior, interior, both. In part, yes. You can make the argument for sure that, one of the comments that was made from the applicant as far as the structural deficiencies was the front patio. You know, naturally, if there was an issue with that for quite some time, you know, it would have been within the property owner's right to rehabilitate that, if in their estimation there was indeed a deficiency with that.
Well, I think the guidelines that we've been given strongly discourage demolition of any structure within the district, especially, this isn't, I mean, this isn't a modern home, it's definitely a home, I believe, that's just as old as the one we were just painstakingly discussing whether a gentleman could build a shed in his backyard at. It seems like it could be rehabilitated and used as it was in the district. That's my thought.
We've rehabbed at least 2 buildings that have had fires, so it's possible to do. One was pretty significant, in the kitchen where the stove caught fire. The garage is something else. I think the garage could probably be eliminated, since that's, based on what we know, a fairly recent structure. But the house itself is 132 years old. I mean, that fits any criteria of a historic district, although architecturally it's not, you know, Frank Lloyd Wright. But here again, that's what makes up a historic district, is the variety of housing, the variety of looks to the housing. Otherwise, why bother?
What's the, I'm glad that you mentioned the detached garage to the other commissioners here. What are your thoughts as far as the detached garage?
If the current owner could utilize that as more additional parking, that structure is far beyond what anybody should invest in repairing. It almost looks as though squatters are in there currently, so it's,
And the reason, I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, the reason I ask is that it would be, the request by the applicant is to raise both the house and the garage. It would be within your commission's purview to approve one and not the other.
I see.
So, and that's the reason, it's not a strict up and down for both. You could do yes for the house, no for the garage, or vice versa.
And it doesn't look like, looking at the 1939 map here, that there's a garage even there.
Yeah, through the assessor data, and you can see, I think it's actually the last page 32, it says that the garage was built in 1890. Now evidently, as you mentioned, Commissioner Bunk, that the 1939 Sanborn map that I have included in the, on page 23 of the agenda packet does not show a detached garage. So, at least through my research, it's difficult, darn near impossible to know an exact year when that garage was built. My hunch is, since it's not shown on the Sanborn map, and my experience with these maps is that they're very accurate, that it's a very comfortable, I would be comfortable in saying that that garage was built well after 1939 and even after 1950 by way of what our 1950 Sanborn map shows.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it seems like that could be just a happy medium, you know, between like giving parking while also preserving a house and not having another house being turned into parking lots.
Yeah.
Sure.
And from an investment standpoint, it could certainly be rented out with some TLC.
And I will say from a zoning standpoint, obviously this isn't the purview of this commission, but it would be feasible in our zoning code to allow parking lots to or parking stalls to complement P-SOL be located on a separate parcel, in this case directly next to it. There's a couple standards effectively saying that they both have to be zoned the same, they have to be within, I think, 1,300 feet of the primary use that those parking stalls are servicing. So this is a roundabout way of saying that this would mesh in our zoning code as well, you know, should the commission choose to say, approve the raising of the garage to allow for parking, but keep the house and have the parking stalls behind it.
Suggestion. Deny the motion and then have a new motion to split the two property, or the two buildings. Would that be?
Yeah, if that's the route that you would wanna, you as a commission would wanna go, you would need to, vote to disapprove the current motion, which is to approve, and then have two separate motions, one to approve the raising of the garage, one to deny the demolition review for the house. And then have the separate votes on it. If that's
Is that
what the
agreeable?
commission.
Okay, then let's vote on the motion to accept the proposal. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, no?
No.
Okay. So then I would entertain a motion on the garage, to raise the garage.
Demolition
Or
review
demolition.
to raise the garage.
Yep. A motion, please?
I move.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Further discussion? Again, the garage is pretty dismal. And architecturally looks fairly new, relatively speaking. And of course, with the Sanborn maps, which Mr. Kuhn accurately says were meticulous when they were done, because insurance companies needed to have the very specific stuff. Any comments on it? Okay, then all those in favor of the motion to raise the lot, allowing, what is it, PSAP?
Nick Busa.
Nick
is the
Busa,
applicant's
to
name.
raise the garage, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, a second motion then to, excuse me, allow for the demolition and raising of the primary residence,
It would be to, deny the demolition.
or to
review.
deny the demolition, yeah.
I move to
Sorry.
deny demolition of the residence.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
I think that, that's a building that could be saved, and I think it's our obligation to follow the guidelines, and when a building can be saved, it should be.
Gentlemen? No? Okay.
No.
All right, no further discussion. All those in favor of denying the demolition raising of the building, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay.
I can address number 5, if you want, Chair.
5? Just
Um,
did 5.
So the number 5 was, or I'm sorry, number 6.
6, yeah.
My apologies. So agenda item number 6 is for a design review to create the parking lot that the applicant, or based off of what the applicant proposed. You know, naturally with this commission vote to deny the demolition review for the house, it's going to impact the configuration of the proposed parking lot. So, you know, since this is the applicant's intent to have additional parking on the subject property here, my recommendation would be to table agenda item number 6. Just procedurally then through Robert's rules, tabling it doesn't automatically mean that it's going to be on the next agenda. It's gonna be something where I would work with the applicant on. If they're ready to present the proposal come next month, then we'll have to have effectively 2 separate action items. One to take this off the table, so to speak, and then one to, a second agenda item for the actual motion itself to approve or deny the updated parking lot request.
Okay.
If there's any questions or discussions, or if you think that that's
Okay.
not
then
appropriate.
Entertain a motion then to table number 6, pending submission from Mr. Buza, readjustment of his proposal.
I move to table.
Okay. Second, please.
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion? Based off what Mr. Kuhn said?
I think it's a great compromise.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I guess that's it, unless you have something else.
I do not,
Okay.
and we'll be adjourned at 4:25.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.